Hi, welcome to the first episode of Digital Heads, and today it's a privilege to talk to John O'Sullivan from Ten2Two. Thank you very much for taking part in this for the first one.
Pleasure.
I mean, we're a sort of classic recruitment model. So as you know, we focus on part-time professional people, and we focus on bringing those to local small and medium businesses. We work with some large businesses, but the model works best is when somebody with lots of experience can go into an organisation for 2 or 3 days a week or 20 hours a week at less than cost for a full-time salary. But what you recognise there is that for many companies, employing somebody professionally part-time might be the first time they've ever done it. And so in some cases, they might not recruit very many people. So we don't want to just place somebody and say, okay, by then, we want it to work. So to make it work, you have to make sure the job description's right. You have to make sure, part of our job is getting the right candidates. But you have to make sure that that process, in the right questions are being asked, that the right follow-up is done, that everything is done accurately, everything is smooth. We think that's part of our job as well. And that's where probably in a lot of ways we differ to the sort of online model now of recruitment, which is very impersonal. If you apply for a job online, most times you won't even get an acknowledgement. There was a big report published by the government and announced by Maria Miller, who's the Minister for Women in the coalition government. And it was about women in the workplace, how the equality between women working and men is disproportionate, and some of the solutions that they think they need to do. So it was little things like, actually big tasks, like bringing more young women through management into senior management. So they were saying that there are girls outperform boys at every stage of education, from SATs at year 6 all the way through to degree level. And then what happens is slowly that women do better and better. Girls, young women do less and less well as they run through their careers. So part of the discussion today was, what does that mean? So there are some people saying, well, it's maternity leave. And if women go off maternity leave, then you can't depend on them. And interestingly, we've just been doing some research with a big bank, and that research is looking at their senior women and why their senior women have been leaving the bank in the last 18 months. And that is at director and managing director level all around the world. So we've benchmarked women and men, and we've asked them on an online survey, why did they leave, would they come back, things like that. The interesting thing they found from that is that the average tenure for women in the company was 11 to 12 years. So women at a senior level have been in the business for quite a long time. The average tenure for men was 4 to 5 years. So the turnover of men is much higher at a senior level. And yet they spend less time looking after their most loyal employees.
Goes against what most people think.
Absolutely, yeah. So the idea of looking at somebody in the workplace and thinking about maternity leave, you think of people who are just going to be with you for the rest of their working lives, and maternity leave puts them at a disadvantage. Whereas actually, if you think of women might stay with you for 10 years, you might lose them for a year on maternity leave, but men might only stay for 4 to 5 years, but they come back and they're loyal. And out of that group also, we found that about 70% of women would come back to the company if a couple of things changed, whereas only about 20% of men. So they're on their career, they've gone, whereas women actually they're loyal to the brand, they're loyal to the company.
So it's counterintuitive, completely.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the
really
research
interesting.
that you were doing, was that just something that you were doing and it tied in with the government report?
Yeah, it's the
would have been a perfect thing to talk about on the radio.
I know, and the bank said that they think they've done enough on fixing the women. So there's a big thing about senior women in the workplace at the moment, about women on boards. And what large companies have done is they've done lots of programs to put in women's networks, to put in mentoring, to do leadership for women. And they've actually realised now that their senior female managers are pretty good, and middle managers are pretty good. But actually maybe it's the company that's not being as balanced as they should be. So when they've actually looked at the reasons why people are leaving, it's not to have families, it's not to look after kids. It's because they don't think that the way the company is looking after its senior talent is fair. So they're saying, okay, you give me targets, and you give everyone targets. If I hit my targets and I'm exceptional, you're still not promoting me. You find there are some people, particularly young people, who their experience is that it's an online experience. And as soon as they then get to the point where they're called in for an interview, that's when they start to struggle. With our community, so as you know, we work with lots of professionally experienced women. So they had a career break or they're full-time, they want to do part-time. And they're not in the job market because they know there aren't a huge number of quality part-time jobs around. So they'll register with us and then look out for a job from us, but they won't register with other people. They don't want to get into that rat race of being one of 400 applications. If you're a financial controller from a big company or a senior HR person, you're never going to go into that sort of environment. So we have probably about 65% of the people registered with us are not job hunting. But if we come to them with a great job, they might leave their job to go and do it, or they'll go back to work.
So they're almost kind of passive candidates.
Absolutely.
And when the role comes up that they feel that
Yeah,
they
yeah,
can go for,
yeah.
you've already.
Invest in your own domain name. Don't use a free AOL or a Hotmail account.
Whatever you put in, so you shall expect to get out. In other words, put in of your maximum and you will get the return.
To make sure that I listen to my clients and understand their needs rather than assuming I knew what their needs were.
Best bit of business advice I've been given was to actually go networking, because I've met so many people that I'd never have come across before and areas that I wouldn't have thought of going into. So networking for me has been brilliant.
To find something that you feel really passionate about and then to give it the time to succeed.
To get more yeses, you need more nos. So don't be afraid of hearing people say no.
I think the best bit of business advice I've ever been getting is to keep looking and reviewing how well your business is doing and how it's focusing on what your customer, your client really needs, so you can continuously prove how you deliver the service that you want to deliver.
I was given two pieces of business advice when I first started out. The first is always under-promise and over-deliver. And the second is the secret to great customer service is always employ nice people.
When you're planning your week, your day, make sure that you make time to work on the business as well as in the business.
Always smile when you answer the phone.